welcome to the Fruit Snacks Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching. I am the T1D Moms coach. I'm here to help you manage your mental and emotional health while managing your child's diabetes. 2 of my 5 kiddos have been diagnosed, and so I'm very familiar with your struggles, and I don't know where I'd be without these life coaching tools and the gospel of Jesus Christ to get me through the day and night. Thank you for joining me as we journey towards feeling less scared, sad, and stressed, and start feeling more calm, confident, and connected. Let's get started. All right, welcome back to the Fruit Snacks Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Wardrop from Drop the War Life Coaching, where we drop power struggles with our kiddos to create more peace in our parenting. So, I have been the Drop the War Life Coach for a long time before I even had kiddos with type 1 diabetes. And then all of a sudden the power struggles took on a whole new meaning. So it was like all the work I was doing to drop power struggles was preparatory to the diabetes diagnosis. Because like I always say, as your T1D Moms coach, I'm not here to tell you how to manage your child's diabetes. I have no agenda for that specifically. I'm here to help you manage your own mental and emotional state while managing your child's diabetes. So no matter how you want to manage their diabetes, there's going to be power struggle wars either way, right? So if you're trying to control what they're eating so that they're not getting too many carbs and they don't have to have highs and lows and the spikes and valleys and all the roller coaster drama, you're just going to avoid that by controlling what they eat. That's a huge power struggle every single time they eat, which could be all day, every day, right? Or if you are, you got to calculate their carbs, give them shots, prick their finger. Oh my gosh, that's power struggle city, right? Every single time you need to dose them for their meal, giving them shots, that's just asking for a huge power struggle war, right? Or if you're, using a CGM and a PDM and all the DMs and the, like you're on a pump. And so you don't actually have to give them shots, but you still need to know what they're eating, when they're eating, how much they're having, and trying to calculate all of that and get them dosed correctly. Again, even just getting them to tell you what they're eating, not be like sneaking food or, just mindlessly eating and forgetting that they have diabetes and then they need to tell you. Power struggles. It is like power struggles with littles on steroids when they have diabetes. So since that used to be my jam, I guess that's still my jam, right? On steroids with the diabetes. So let's talk about how to drop power struggle wars with our kiddos, because we are Drop the War Life Coaching. Let's drop some of those wars. So first thing I want to say is that it's similar to the episode on getting on the same page with your husband on how to manage their diabetes, because that's kind of what you're doing. If you're in a power struggle war, you're in a war of wills, right? You each have your agenda and they are clashing. So if you both want to do the same thing, then there's no power struggle. The power struggle comes in the clash of the agendas, right? So you have the agenda that you need to give them a shot. They have the agenda that they don't like getting pricked and they don't want a shot and they don't want to let you give them a shot, right? So if, just like with getting on the same page, the way to get on the same page, spoiler, if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. The way to get on the same page is to change your metaphor. You don't need to be on the same page. You need to remember that you're on the same team. So same goes with your kiddos. They're on that team too. It's not a 2-player game. I don't know that much about football. You'll see that as I dig into this analogy. But the best I can tell, we're going to go with it. Okay, so you have different agendas. That's okay, because you're different players on the same team. So if everyone had the same agenda as the quarterback, there would be mayhem on the field. I'm pretty sure. Everybody has their specific thing they're supposed to do. That guy is supposed to defend this other guy in the other team from getting any further, right? So his whole job is to just attack the other guy. His job isn't to catch the ball and run with it. His job is just to keep that guy from doing what he's trying to do, right? So there's a bunch of players on the field and they all have a different job, but they all have the same goal. So that is where we're at too. So if we stop seeing it as they don't want a shot and I want to give them a shot, and we've got this clash of agendas, instead of we reframe it and see that we all have different roles on this team, but we all have the same goal, then we can start dropping the power struggles, right? So if we remember, our goal is to just keep our child healthy, right? Our child wants that. Our husband wants that. We want that. We all want the same thing. We're all just trying to manage the diabetes, right? That is the goal. And then the way we perform our different functions is going to be different, but it can be cooperation, right? If we look at it that way, instead of looking at it as a tug of war. So we drop the war by just dropping that there's even a war at all. We're all on the same team with the same goal, but we have different roles. So of course your child doesn't want you to give them a shot. If you look at it like that, every time they're fighting with you about changing out their pod, or forgetting to tell you what they ate, or they don't want to eat broccoli and chicken, they want to eat pizza just like their friends, like there's of course they're going to do that because they're the kid, and that's the kid's role in the family is to be a kid, right? They're not the responsible one, they're the kid. Our role is to be the responsible one. So if we stop expecting them to be more responsible than they can because they're a child, then dropping our expectations is a huge way to drop the war, right? So stop expecting them to remember to give you their carb count all day long. That's your job, right? Their job is to be a kid. So solved, right? Yeah, right. So first, remember you're on the same team, right? We have the same goal. They're playing different roles. Don't expect them to play your role. You play your role, okay? And that, of course, is a heck of a lot easier said than done. And that's why we have coaching, so that every single week we can get on a call and talk about how that's not working. Or I'm just here to support you in your role to figure out how to do it instead of expecting someone else to do it. Same with your husband, right? If he's not managing the diabetes the way you want, you realize, well, that's my role, is to do it the way I want. His role is to do it the way he wants. And so it's easier said than done to let him do that. And that's where your coach comes in. So, all right, let's talk about another principle that'll help drop power struggle wars. In fact, all of these we're just going to hit really high level because I like to keep my podcast short. But got tons of content, tons of this, because this is what I was doing even long before the diabetes came along. So if you go to dropthewar.com, there's a whole page of my parenting philosophies that go into a bunch of this that helps with dropping the war. And any of my old content, it's all about dropping power struggle wars. So, and you can find even on Facebook, if you dig out some old Facebook lives, they're all about that, all the things. So, and if you're not following me on Instagram right now, go there too. So Drop the War Life Coach on Instagram and Facebook, and let's connect on social. Okay, so another principle is agency. So as we're talking about a battle of wills, right? Just literally remembering that your child has agency helps you drop the war. So when you want to swap out their pump and they don't want to, and we're just expecting them to cooperate, even though it's going to hurt like heck and they don't want to. So of course they don't want to. Why do we expect them to want to? Because that doesn't make any sense if you look at it. So when we turn the table and start to see it from their perspective, then it helps drop the war, right? When we're like, oh, right, of course they don't want this. And so we expect to be like, okay, it's pump swap day. And them to be like, okay, mother, I would love a new pump. Come on over. That's not going to happen, right? So remembering to try to see it from their point of view helps drop the power struggles in itself. So of course they have their own agency. Of course they're living their own life. They're not sitting there thinking about diabetes all day, every day. They just want a snack. And so when we completely lose our minds because they didn't tell us that they were going to have a snack, we're forgetting that they're kids and their role in this family is to have fun. Kids are wired for FUN. And they're trying to live their carefree, beautiful childhood. We're the ones with all the stress. So we don't need to pile all that stress on them. Our role in this team is to be the one who's responsible. We don't necessarily have to be stressed about it. Again, that's why we do in coaching. You can't be responsible without being stressed out and without putting that on your child. So there are ways that you can figure out if you're not in this trap, in the shame blame trap. If we're like, okay, nothing's gone wrong here. They just are a kid having a good time and they got hungry and they just ate something and they forgot to tell us about it. This is not a huge big deal. I'll just dose them now and it's fine. It'll come back down eventually. All the new thoughts we need to think, right? To feel differently, to not be totally stressed out about it and losing our minds, which is what we're going to talk about next week, is connection for cooperation, right? So, and a huge part of that, spoiler alert, right, is seeing it from their point of view, right? So in order to drop the war, now I'm all on into next week's, hold on, focus. What are we talking about this time? Agency. They do have, and I'm pretty sure kids don't come any other way nowadays except for this strong-willed type, right? It used to be, oh, I have a strong-willed kid. No, it's just, I have a kid. That's kind of, what's that word? Forget. Anyway, all the kids are strong-willed kids. They have a will. They know what they want. And if our will does not align with their will, we can pull on the tug of war rope, or we can drop the war and get on their side, as in see it from their perspective. So this is how you do it. It's the same with your husbands, right? It doesn't mean you got to really, really retrain your brain to believe that no one is right and no one is wrong. We just all have different ideas, right? So because they have a different agenda than we do, doesn't mean that they're wrong and we're right. It just means that we want to swap their pump and they don't want to. Okay, we don't have to make them wrong. Just like with the husbands, if they want to manage a different way than we do, it doesn't have to be wrong. It's just different, and different is good because everyone on the team has a different role. So if we can continue to kind of mantra that and to try to believe it, get coaching to retrain our brains, then we can remember that it's okay that they have a different agenda, because they're going to have a different agenda, and that's not a problem. That doesn't have to be a power struggle every single time we have different agendas. We're always going to have different agendas because we're different roles, but with the same goal. Okay. So just remembering their agency, give it back to them because they've got it, because they're going to do what they want to do, whether we like it or not. So let's just get on board with it so that we're not frustrated about that. Let's, quote unquote, let them have their agency because they have it anyway, right? And all we're doing with the power struggle is causing problems for ourselves. So let's drop the war by remembering and honoring that they have their own agency, okay? No matter how old they are. Because I'm telling you, my son, who is 11 days overdue to be born, this agency thing, it started long before he was even born and has continued to this day. That kid does not do what he doesn't want to do. So in order to get him to do something that he doesn't want to do, I got to see it from his perspective, figure out how to spin it in a way that he does want to do it, right? Or just get her done, whether she wants to or not, right? We got to swap that pump. There's no way she's going to want to. So we're going to do it whether she wants to or not, which means that we got to be okay with her big emotions. It's the other way to drop the war, because really what we're fighting over is a feeling. We don't want to feel bad that she feels bad. We want everyone to feel good. So if we can just remember, that's fairy tale land. That's not real life. Everyone's going to feel all the feels, and that's okay. Let's get her done anyway. Okay. All right. Was that enough about how to drop the power struggle war with your kiddo for now? Again, if you want more information, dropthewar.com, and dropthewar.com/T1D is all the specific diabetes content. I have a fun freebie on there. All the things I was so glad to know in the hospital when I was so overwhelmed with the diagnosis. I was also overwhelmed with gratitude that I'd been working on these coaching principles for a while, prepping me for this. And so I just don't know where I'd be without these coaching tools, right? And so I made a little video of my 3 top things that all the T1D mamas need to know. So make sure you go get that video on dropthewar.com/T1D. And if you're ready to chat this out on Zoom, you can sign up at that same link or /appointments to go straight to the appointment page to sign up on Zoom. We do a T1D Mom support group call every Tuesday. You can join that. The details are on that page also. Or get on a Zoom call, just you and me, and we can chat out whatever it is you're struggling with these power struggles, because I know it's a real deal, mama, and I'm here to support you. So I will see you on Zoom. Talk to you next time. Bye. Hey, T1D moms. Was that episode helpful? I put together a free video for you with my top 3 brain hacks for T1D moms. Check it out at dropthewar.com/top3. Having a child with diabetes is hard enough. Let's not make it any harder with the way we're thinking about it all. Get my free top 3 brain hacks for T1D moms video at dropthewar.com/top3. See you there. Hello, my sweet T1D parent friend. The next time you catch yourself thinking that you can't do this anymore, redirect your brain to Philippians 4:13 and remind yourself that you can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. As your life coach, I'm here to be a conduit to help you get your brain and body aligned in order for your spirit to clearly communicate with His Spirit to become your own diabetes parenting expert. Go to dropthewar.com/appointments for your complimentary coaching session, and let's do this thing.